Hello and welcome to Dialogue. Not long from now, the Olympic cauldron will soon be ignited, signaling the start of the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympic Games. How is the Omicron variant affecting preparations? Will athletes and spectators be safe? And how will Beijing perform under the pressure of becoming the first city in history to host both the Summer and Winter Olympics? To help us answer these questions and so much more, I'm very honored today to have on our show Mr. Miang, Vice President of the International Olympic Committee. Mr. Ang is also the first Asian elected to the IOC executive body. That's our topic. I'm Xu Qinduo. Welcome to our show, Mr. Ang. As we said, Beijing is to become the dual city in history, first one actually, to host both the Summer and Winter Olympics. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure, but given how successful it was in 2008 for the Summer Games, are you looking forward to an equally successful event?
So first and foremost, I want to say that it's really amazing and incredible that the Winter Olympic Games Beijing 2022 will be held as scheduled under such challenging circumstances of the pandemic. Come February, Beijing will be the first city to create Olympic history in hosting both the Summer and Winter Olympic Games. Beijing 2022 is built on the legacies of the 2008 Games for sports development, infrastructure, venue, environment, Olympic education, culture, as well as people. I have the privilege to serve on both the IOC Coordination Commission for 2008 and 2022. And I can see how 2008 has built a solid and strong foundation for the organization of the 2022 Winter Games. Beijing 2008 and other major sporting events that China have hosted is evidence of the capability to host a successful Olympic event. As a commitment for sustainability and an initiative to stay more green, 7 of the Beijing 2022 competitions will be held in venues used at the 2008 Games. And these include the iconic bird's nest, which will again be used for the opening and closing ceremony, the water cube, which will be transformed from swimming to host curling competitions, the Capitol Stadium from volleyball to short track, as well as figure skating, just to name a few of these. Singapore's former Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew was amongst the hosts of foreign dignitaries to attend the 2008 Olympic Games opening ceremony. He commented, and I quote, "The spectacular opening ceremony of the Olympics, the greening of Beijing with many kilometers of flowers, shrubs, and trees, the well-managed traffic, in spite of over 200 VIP delegations, and as many as 40,000 athletes and officials. They reflected the organizing capabilities of the Chinese government," unquote. Jacques Roch, then IOC president, praised Beijing 2008 as an exceptional games at the closing ceremony. And over the last 7 years, Beijing 2022 Organizing Committee has put in tremendous amount of resources and hard work to prepare for the Games, and has adopted all necessary countermeasures to deal with COVID-19. Therefore, I have no doubt that the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympic Games will be a resounding success. And this game itself, I believe, will create its own unique legacies.
Yes, experiences and of course, better preparations. In one of the previous interviews, you mentioned about Beijing preparation. You said they have reached its highest standards. Could you elaborate a bit more on that?
Definitely. Despite the challenging circumstances of the pandemic, Beijing 2022 is really on track to fulfill its vision of sustainability for the future and the principle of hosting green, inclusive, open and green games. All competition venues in Beijing are already ready. These venues are state-of-the-art with strong sports legacy plans already in place. And as part of the sustainability plan, several venues of the 2000 Games and temporary venues will be used. Beijing 2022 has fulfilled all aspect requirements, obligations of the Olympic host city contract. The game has also received great support from top leaderships in China, and we know that national resources have been mobilized to support Beijing. Since the award of the Games in 2006, Beijing 2022 have been working hand in glove with the IOC, with the international federations, the National Olympic Committees, and athletes to prepare for the Games. And we receive regular feedback from these very important stakeholders, and they have been full of praise for the highest standard and high quality of work.
Well, yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, and the test events for different sports were successfully conducted. The IOC team from the Olympic Games Department, Olympic Broadcast Services, as well as the Winter International Sports Federations are now on the ground in Beijing. And they all verify that preparations are in full swing and it is all systems go. And I myself look forward with great anticipation and great excitement to travel to Beijing on 26th of January.
Wow, that's obviously a lot of expectation out of the event. On one aspect, the organizing committee, they say the upcoming event has so far achieved the highest marketing income in history compared with figures, obviously, from previous Winter Games released by the IOC. People would ask, how is that even possible against this worldwide pandemic and this challenging environment?
It is really amazing, and I would like to congratulate the outstanding efforts put in by Beijing 2022 for such an achievement, a successful domestic sponsorship program that will support the delivery of the Olympic Winter Games. With a huge Chinese market of 1.4 billion people and great interest in the Games, even long before the launch of the marketing program. Beijing 2022 has really done very well in engaging the local partners. And since the launch of this domestic sponsorship program in 2017, the organizing committee has signed numerous commercial deals with local Chinese partners by granting marketing rights within the host territory. The success of the program is both a boost financially for Beijing, as well as creating great opportunities to engage the local populations.
Of course, in addition to this, impressive marketing program, what other factors do you think could make this 2022 Beijing Winter Olympic Games stand out, say, from previous games?
As part of the sustainability plan that I've mentioned before, the organizing committee is also committed to deliver a carbon neutral games with their mission of being green, open, inclusive, and clean. And one of the key contributions is maximizing the use of existing and temporary venues in line with the Olympic Agenda 2020+5. 5 of the 7 venues for competitions and ceremonies in Beijing zone were used during the Beijing 2008 Games. In addition, Beijing 2022 would also use renewable energy for all competition venues. Low emission, natural CO2 refrigeration system will be used for the first time in ice venues in China and at the Games. By hosting the Games, China has by now attracted more than 346 million people to take part in winter sports. And this already exceeded their own target of getting 300 million Chinese taking out winter sports. This will definitely transform China into a strong winter sports country.
That's quite impactful, to say the least. 300 million people getting involved. What about the preparations for, say, other sectors like infrastructure, logistics, and personnel?
We are very grateful to our friends in Beijing. They are going to deliver extraordinary games even during this very challenging period. Facilities are completed in all of the games areas, including infrastructure. As I mentioned previously, test events have been providing incredible, valuable lessons to the organizing committee, the International Federation, as we get ready for the Games. I am particularly impressed with the transformation of a former steel mill into big air showdown, where the free ski big air and the snowboard big air will be held, and therefore creating also a legacy of a leisure park for the future enjoyment of the residents of Beijing.
Well, any area you think, that's, you've talked about areas that's really standing out, and any area you think that might need some more improvement?
I think as hard as we try, so far we've not found any shortcoming, even from people on the ground. So we are really very, very happy.
Mm-hmm. Well, compared with the Pyeongchang, 2018 Winter Games, 7 new events will be added to the Beijing Winter Games. So tell us, what are they and what's the rationale behind this move?
We're really excited about the new events. You have bobsleigh, women's mono in freestyle skiing, mixed team areas, in freestyle skiing, men's big air, freestyle skiing, women's big air, in short track, street skating, mixed team relay, and in ski jumping, we have mixed team event. And for snowboarding, we have mixed team snowboard cross. The event program was defined by the IOC Executive Board upon recommendations of the Olympic Program Commission and in cooperation with the various international federations, as well as the Beijing Organizing Committee. The program reflects our commitment to make the Olympic Games program more gender balanced and more exciting. We will see more female athletes at women's event than any other Olympic Winter Games, with the female quota positions increasing from 41% to 45.44%. The discipline of skeleton or speed skating, of alpine skiing, cross-country skiing, freestyle and snowboard will also see a balance in gender for the first time. Personally, I'm very keen to watch the big air event. Firstly, because they themselves are really very exciting events. And secondly, because this event will be held against the backdrop of 4 industrial cooling towers of the former Shougang steel mill. And this is a really amazing transformation for sustainability and for creating facility for the people.
Well, that's right. Let's take a look at these challenges. I mean, on top of everything else, probably the COVID-19, the pandemic is still raging in many parts of the world. And now we have this Omicron, the new variant, which is the most contagious so far, looming over the event. So how big of a problem will the COVID-19 pose to the event? And so is that the biggest uncertainty, which could make or break the success of the Games?
We are definitely all concerned about Omicron and its impact. The World Health Organization, WHO, has expressed their confidence in the countermeasures that are put in place by Beijing Organizing Committee and the IOC. The success of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games has shown that it is possible to host games in the current pandemic. We have now better understanding on how to manage virus in the context of mass gathering as well as major games. The playbook, which set up rules and for all game participants, will provide the framework for a safe and secure Winter Olympic Games for all the participants as well as the people of China. The rise of Omicron variant has really created more complication, definitely, but we also trust the strong measures of the Chinese authorities that are put in place and their continuous vigilance. And we'll continue to do this. For all of us going to the Games, we also have a part to play to keep the Games safe and successful. I have started monitoring my health and have been submitting daily reports to the organizing committee and the relevant authorities. And this is a requirement of all participants who will be in the closed loop system, and this would help and contribute to make the Games safe and secure.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned the Tokyo 2020. So are we seeing, probably more stricter measures being taken by the Beijing Organizing Committee to ensure, safety, to ensure everything is smooth for the competition over there? And, tell us some of these measures.
Definitely the vaccination policy, the closed-loop management system, and regular testing will be amongst the vital elements that will ensure that Beijing Games will take place safely. It will be mandatory for fully vaccinated at least 14 days prior for departure for China in order to be allowed into the closed-loop system without a 21 days quarantine. And this is absolutely necessary. There's not going to be any physical interaction between the general public. And within the closed loop, the game participants will be subjected also to daily health monitoring as well as testing. And we will only be allowed to move between permitted destinations in dedicated games transport. All these are very important and strict measures that will be observed by all to ensure that the games will be a safe and secure one despite the complication of the virus as well as the Omicron.
Well, that's true. It's not only about individual safety, but everybody else. It's like a a sense of a community here for the safety of the entire community. Another challenge, sort of challenge, I would say. Last year, on December the 6th, the Biden administration announced that the U.S. would not send officials to the Beijing Winter Olympics. Then you see UK, Canada, and Australia also followed suit. So I wonder, what's your take on that? Does this kind of a gesture somehow play any kind of positive role in international sports events?
Well, I think the most important part of the Games is the athletes as well as the worldwide audience. The presence of government officials and diplomats is purely political decisions for each government. The IOC is politically neutral and respect the rights of the governments and take note of their decisions. But at the same time, this announcement that you just mentioned also make clear that the Olympic Games and the participation of athletes are beyond politics, and we welcome this position. Support for athletes and the Olympic Games has been expressed multiple times in recent months, and most recently in the United Nations resolution, which is entitled Building a Peaceful and Better World Through Sport and the Olympic Ideal, adopted by consensus of all 193 member states and co-sponsored by 173 member states at the 76th session of the UN General Assembly in New York. This resolution calls for the observance of Olympic truce for the Olympic and Paralympic Games Beijing 2022. From 7 days before the start of the Olympic Games on 4th February until 7 days after the end of the Paralympic Games. We have seen political boycotts of the Olympic Games in the past, such as Moscow 1980, and this achieved nothing except affecting the athletes. That unfortunately led to the counter boycott of the Olympic Games in Los Angeles in 1984, which also only affected the athletes who were adversely. And these athletes are affected as a result of government actions, and they were prevented from attending the Games. These two boycotts destroyed the dreams and careers of thousands of athletes from all over the world and deprived these athletes of their rights, but never achieved any of the political objectives intended by the governments.
Indeed, I talked to former athletes and people involved in the organizing and preparations over there. They would say they have been preparing for many years, 6-7 years. Of athletes, they have prepared for 4 years for the game. And if there's any disruption, that would be really hurting for them. Back to yourself, you are the first Asian ever elected to the IOC executive board. In your many years of involvement with the Olympic Committee, have you seen a rising role for Asia in the development of the Olympic Games over the years?
This is definitely so. Asia has a proven track record of delivering fantastic Olympic competitions, Olympic Games. 9 Olympics, including the Youth Olympic Games. And this year's Winter Olympics is held in China. And the next Winter Youth Olympic Games will be held in Korea. So global sports mega events are now frequently being hosted in Asia. And many countries in Asia are investing resources to develop sports as a tool for improving the quality of life of their population.
Well, another sort of challenge also, we see the rising hate crimes, mostly against Asian Americans in the U.S. And also you see that creeping into the sports event. For example, this table tennis world championship in Texas end of last year. So I wonder what's your take on that and what kind of a message you want to deliver to the global community?
We are saddened by such incidents, and it is very obvious to state that the IOC condemns racism in the strongest terms. Non-discrimination is one of the founding pillars of the Olympic movement. The Olympic Games, for example, are a very powerful global demonstration against racism and also standing for inclusivity. We embrace the celebration of the unity of humankind in all our diversities. At the Olympic Games, the athletes live peacefully together in the Olympic village, sharing meals, thoughts, and their emotions together. So we believe in these efforts and this ideal.
The European countries and North America, they are very strong in winter sports, in hosting winter games. What is the current status for Asia in terms of the development of winter sports, for example?
Winter sports in Asia is developing well. Pyeongchang 2018 Winter Olympic Games was a big success. And I strongly believe that Beijing 2022 would be a huge success itself and will leave lasting legacies, not only for athletes, but for winter sports, both in China and Asia. China has now, we mentioned, attracted more than 346 million people to winter sports and exceeded their own target of 300 million new winter sports loving people. We have seen since 2015 a great increase in the number of ice rinks, more than 300%, and also more than 40% increase in the same 7 years period of outdoor ski resorts. China now has 634 standard ice rinks and 803 indoor and outdoor ski resorts. This is really amazing. Huge numbers of facilities blossoming in China because of the Winter Olympic Games. And you can see that in Korea, in Japan, winter sports are having strong following, even in Central Asia. So I think winter sports in Asia is really moving forward in a very expeditious way.
Mm-hmm. So I guess that's also part of the impact, of the Beijing, could be, Beijing Winter Olympic Games and also 2018, the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, they all, happen in Asia.
Definitely so.
Well, thank you, Mr. N, and thank you for your time and input for speaking with us. And that's the end of today's show. Many thanks for being with us. You can also find us on the CGTN app or on YouTube. I'm Xu Qinduo. You can find me on Twitter, Xu Qinduo by one word. Thank you for being with us. See you next time.